Not guilty. Not guilty. The jury foreman said it twice. Russell Bishop had been found not guilty of murdering my daughter Karen and her best friend Nikki. I looked across the courtroom at him, a skinny, ginger-haired 21-year-old. He was grinning, and one of his brothers was being held back by prison guards as he tried to leap into the dock to hug him. I could hear through the days of my misery the jubilant cries of the rest of his family. We'd all seen this verdict coming as the case against him slipped away. The forensic witnesses had been torn apart by his clever barrister. There were huge flaws in the case, mostly in the details of timings. Witnesses for the defence had lied and lied again to protect him. But however much I'd been expecting it, there was a part of me that had still hoped the jury would see the pure evil of the man in the dock and pronounce him guilty. I had clung to that hope, even though the journalists and police officers I spoke to at the court all confirmed that it was not going well. Now the blow had fallen. I was reeling, shaking so much I had to cling to my brother-in-law Mark, who had come to court with me. His head was down. There were tears filling his eyes. When I tried to stand, my legs nearly buckled under me. Nothing could ever bring Karen and Nikki back, and we knew this. But I had hoped for some peace, knowing that the man who had committed these brutal murders would be locked up, unable to hurt anyone else, paying for his crimes. I wanted justice. And when I heard those words, I knew we did not have it. Chapter 1. Missing. Thursday, 9th of October, 1986. The alarm clock went off at 7 a.m. as usual, and I stretched my hand out to Lee, my husband. It took me a few seconds to remember he wasn't there. He'd gone with a mate to deliver some furniture, and they'd slept in the cab of the van overnight. Lee and me, we were intertwined. We held hands wherever we went, on the bus, shopping. In the 13 years we'd been married, we'd hardly ever been apart, except when I'd been in hospital giving birth to each of our 3 children, or when Lee went to visit his family in Surrey for a couple of days. I missed him lying next to me, but I had no time to think about anything other than getting up and organising the girls for school. 7 months pregnant, I hauled myself out of bed and started the morning routine. Our oldest child, Darren, was away at his residential school, where he got extra help with his learning difficulties. Lindsay, my youngest, who was nearly 6, had gone to bed with a snuffly cold just setting in, and when I went to wake her, I could see she was really unwell. She had a slight fever and her nose was running like a tap. No school for her today. I would wrap her up and keep her warm on the settee. I left her to sleep a little longer while I went downstairs to wake Karen, whose bedroom was on the ground floor. Karen was 9, and her room was a red and white tribute to Liverpool Football Club. We could never work out why she supported Liverpool. I'd grown up in a family who all supported Chelsea, and Lee was a Tottenham supporter, and living in Brighton, we also followed Brighton and Hove Albion. But Karen was always a spirited little girl with her own ideas about things, and she was thrilled when we painted her room in her team's colours. When the football results came out on a Saturday afternoon, there was always a lot of good-natured teasing and rivalry in our household. Karen's school uniform, a green sweatshirt with the logo of Coldine School on the front and a pleated grey skirt, was on a coat hanger in her bedroom, organised the previous evening. It was a ritual when the kids came home from school. I'd make them change out of their uniforms so I could put them in the washing machine if they were grubby or had food or paint stains from art lessons on them, which 9 times out of 10, they did. Then the uniforms would be dried and ironed and hung up for the next morning, and their school shoes were cleaned. The girls always left home neat, clean and tidy.